This video is for those stubborn farmers who have refused to brood their chicks with the help of a thermometer. Now, something happened over the weekend. A farmer brought in chicks, day-old chicks. He was excited enough to send me videos on WhatsApp. I was happy with him. Then the next day on Saturday, he called me that some of the chicks are dying. The first question I asked him, because it's a brooding period, is what was the temperature of the room? And to my greatest surprise, the farmer had no idea. Now, some of these things might have worked in the past, raising chicken, brooding chicken without the help of thermometer. But currently, the genetically modified chicken we have right now, chicks we have right now, is not as strong as those ones that we used to do before. So right now, you need to be very careful and precise in anything that has to do with handling them. And you also know that the period we find ourselves, the climate is gradually changing. The weather is becoming hotter. The harmattan is going off. Even this period, you can even brood your chicken during the daytime without the aid of any heat generator, because the kind of sun that is shining now and hitting on the zinc of the poultry house is enough to give you enough heat to brood this chicken during the afternoon time. And how will you know the temperature if you don't have this? So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you other alternative ways, other ways to use the behaviors of the birds to know how comfortable the birds are with the temperature you are using to brood them if you don't have this. And the video is starting right now. For this video, I'll be sitting on the ground. We recently cleaned this pen house. We intend to raise layers here, but I'll come to that in a short time. Next, I'll be keeping this here so that your conscience will be judging you. And then I'm going local on this. I'm not using any board, so I'm just going to be using pen and paper. And I'm going to be sharing with you 5 different behaviors you can observe from the birds and know how comfortable they are with the heat available, and then know how to readjust. So if you are new to this channel, I want you to do just this. Use the next 2 seconds to, it's not hard to do this, subscribe to the channel. If you are done doing that, now let's roll. The first behavior is, let's assume this is your poultry, your brooding house. I'm an artist actually, but I'm not in the drawing mood, so I may not be giving you exactly how the structure is meant to be. So let's assume that here is your brooding house and this is the heat source. And then the chicks are somehow distributed this way, somehow away from the heat source. It's just indicative of something, that the heat being generated in this brooding house is very high. It's too much for them. So what you notice is them running away from this, and when they do that, another thing you observe is that the chicks will not really have appetite to eat. They will be more focused on drinking the water. That's if the water is somehow away from this. And also, this can lead to dehydration and death, because the heat is too much. This is the heat source, this is the brooding area, the heat source, and the chicks are running away from the heat source. That means the temperature here is too high. So what you have to do here is to either remove the heat source or reduce the heat source. The second scenario, let's assume this also the brooding house. This is the heat source, and the chicks are clustered very close the heat source. This is indicative of something, and what indicates that the heat being used in this brooding house to brood the chicken is not enough. The chicken are feeling cold, so they are clustering closer to the heat source and closer to themselves. So and if care is not taken in this situation, there might be stampede and chicks get to death, because when they are clustered, some are on top of each other. Those ones they are on top might suffocate and die. That's stampede. So in this situation, we see that the temperature is very low, and what you have to do here now is to either add more heat source. There is no either. Add more heat source to balance so that the chicken will be well dispersed. In the third situation, let's assume again that this is the brooding house, this is the heat source, and the chicks are somehow clustered towards one side, away from the heat source or close to the heat source, but the chicks are clustered one side. This is indicative that there is a disturbance in the poultry house. Now this disturbance can be that you need to pay very close attention to this, because it could be that there is rats somehow came into the poultry house and the chicks had to move down to one side, or it could mean that something like snake came in, or there is what we call poor light distribution. Maybe the lighting of this brooding house is not well distributed to cover for all the spaces, so the chicks are clustered towards where there is light. And in this situation of clustering, there could be stampede, where the birds come together, some of them are under and they suffocate and die. The fourth scene, this one, what will I name this now? What will I name this? I just say you need to pay closer attention to this one. So in this situation, what you just need to do is to find the main reason why the chicks are clustering towards that side. The fourth scene is, let's assume this is the poultry, the brooding house. This is the heat source, and the chicks are in clusters again, but this time around the difference is that they are clustering in groups. This can be indicative of many things, and if care is not taken, you need the aid of a professional. You need to call your poultry veterinarian. But before the poultry veterinarian arrives, you need to do a few observations. Number one, the chicks are clustered. It can be indicative that there is cold, so they are still clustering like here. It can be indicative that the light distribution is bad, so the light is shining somewhere here, shining here, but it's not towards these areas. So that means you need to adjust the lighting of the room. It can also be indicative that the bedding, that's the wood shaving on the floor, is cold. So the chicks have already spotted the areas that is not cold and they've clustered towards that area. It can also be indicative of fever. That's where you need the attention of a poultry professional, a poultry veterinarian or animal scientist, to come and check after you've identified that the cause is not because of poor light distribution, it's not because of low temperature, it's not because of cold wood shaving. You need to call your poultry veterinarian to come and confirm if it's a systemic disease condition. And then finally, the fifth way to check and identify the temperature in the brooding room with the behavior of the birds is this. This is the heat source, and the birds are distributed everywhere, evenly distributed. That's the right word to use. The birds are evenly distributed. This indicative that the temperature inside here is all right. The temperature is okay. The chicks are comfortable inside here, and in this is the best. This is the best way. So if you are brooding your chicks without this, and you have anything like this, you need to remove the heat. You need to reduce the heat. You have something like this, you need to add more heat. You have something like this, you need to pay keen attention to know why they are clustered towards one side. It may be predator, or it may be poor distribution of light. You have something like this, you still need to pay keen attention to the reason why they are clustered in groups away from the heat source. If you are not certain what the cause might be, you invite your poultry professional. But in a situation, you have a situation like this, this is the best. In this situation, you don't need to do anything. That means your brooding is going all right. Now, if you have any question in any of this, feel free to leave a comment and leave the question in the comment section. And also, if you have something suggestive of another scenario in which you can use the behavior of the birds to know the temperature of the room, also feel free to leave it in the comment section. That's it for this video, guys. See you next time.